there in person. But I wanted to welcome everybody to the meeting. And then, Julie, if we can please call the meeting to order and do the roll call.
Debbie Berry, Jeff Epstein,
Here.
David Gilbert, Vijay McClue,
Here.
Trevor McAleer,
Here.
Michael Obie, Tim Oftermatt,
Here.
Rashonda Smith,
Here.
Mayor Sellers.
Here.
Okay. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. If we can have a motion, please. From the January 24th, 25 meeting.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. The minutes are approved. At this point, we will move to general public comments. If we have any general public comments, we do have acknowledgement of board members, which we will have a separate public comment for that so that they get their due course. But if there's anybody from the public there for any general comments, I open them to the public. Julie, is anybody there for public comment?
No public comments.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move to the action items that we have on the agenda. The first action item is we have the renewal of two board members that we're very familiar with, Trevor McAleer and David Gilbert. I think the board is very familiar with these board members, and their terms are up, so they've been nominated for renewal. And I move to accept the renewal of both members, Trevor McAleer and David Gilbert.
I'll second.
Debbie, can we do a roll call, please? Julie, can we do a roll call, please?
Debbie Berry,
Yes.
Jeff Epstein,
Yes.
David Gilbert, Vijay McClue,
Yes.
Trevor McAleer,
Yes.
Michael Obie, Oftermatt,
Yes.
Rashonda Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Sellers.
Yes.
All right. The nominations are accepted, or the renewals are accepted, and congratulations, Trevor and David. The next item on the agenda is we have two nominations on the board to replace the departing members, Mayor Brad Sellers and Tim Oftermatt. The nominations are Mr. Alton Tinker and Ms. Deb Janik. The credentials are in the folders that are with the board, and they've been distributed to the board. I move to accept the nominations of Mr. Tinker and Ms. Janik to the board. Is there a second?
Second.
Julie, let's call the roll.
Debbie Berry,
Yes.
Jeff Epstein,
Yes.
Vijay McClue,
Yes.
Trevor McAleer,
Yes.
Obie, Oftermatt,
Yes.
Rashonda Smith,
Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Mayor Sellers.
Yes.
With that, I want to welcome both Alton and Deb to the board. We're very glad to have you, and I do know Deb quite a bit. We have a long history. I don't know Alton as well, but I look forward to getting to know you and working with you on the board, and welcome both of you very much. And I look forward to seeing both of you in person in the near future. With that, now we move to the board member acknowledgements. As all of you know, this is a bittersweet moment in some respect. We welcome new board members, but we have two board members who are leaving the board for better and more exciting things in their lives. These are two individuals that have contributed immensely to this organization and to this board and to this corporation in every way possible. I've known Mayor Sellers for a very, very long time. Perhaps his commitment to the convention center and the conversion of the former state's place, the health center, to the meeting place that we did that last project. He stayed on top of it. He made sure that it happened, and that is the legacy that we all will always remember. And Tim Oftermatt, what can I say about Tim? I always used to say that I didn't need to worry about math because Tim was on the board. So now if Trevor is ever missing, I don't know what to do, Tim. I have memories of Tim from the days in the very old county administration building, talking to him in the hallway of all places by the security checkpoint, just talking and sitting there and about any issue that we were dealing with. And perhaps it's opportune, the passing of the Pope. I remember meetings with Jeff and Tim and David Goodman in the old days when we were talking about the Port Authority sprinkling its holy water over the transaction for the Hilton Hotel and the deal to do that, and which was legalese for authorized purposes. But I wish them both the best. Their contributions to the board are immense. And at this point, I'll open it to any comments from either the board, and then we can go to public comment.
I guess I'll jump in quick. So I don't have a prepared speech. I'm a little bit newer to the board than some of you, but wanted to say thank you to Mayor Sellers for your many, many years as chairman of the board and leading us through the renovation. Your attention to detail and thoughts about questions and following up with the team just to make sure that everything was done. And now the number of events we've been able to book there and everything really attribute to your care and thoughtfulness about this organization, about this building, about this community. So we really do appreciate all of your service, Mayor Sellers, and have a nice little monument.
Thank you.
At least you didn't call it a headstone.
Still be around. All right, I'm up. I'm gonna present Tim with his plaque. As Majid mentioned, when the new form of government took over, we were trying to figure out the financing deal, what was going on with the convention center and then global center. And working with Tim on that, and then fast forward a couple years later after that, and Tim was appointed to this board, and Tim's been working with the county on various projects over the years, and he's worked on this entire complex, including the Hilton Hotel. So his impact just on this block right here will be forever lasting. So Tim, appreciate working with you, and we're gonna miss you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And then I can't see what's happening at the room, but is somebody speaking, or should I open it to public comment?
I'll jump in quickly.
Go ahead. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, I really want to add my appreciation to both of you. This is a point in time. I know you all are longtime public servants and contributors to the civic sector in many different ways. And I look forward to continue to working with both of you in other ways outside this board. But in the couple of years I've been on the board, incredibly impressed with your leadership, the commitment to this effort to growing this aspect of the economy in Cleveland. I think we all know as we look back, and I think a lot about how we've come out of COVID, and without the effort of you all building, continuing to build and refine, and that matter of our economy propping up Cleveland, we'd be in a lot worse spot today. So really grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. And I'll open it up to public comment regarding the departing members. I understand Councilman Sweeney's there.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you for recognizing me. To the chairman, to the other board members, to our CEO, to everybody here. It's an honor and privilege to be here to present a little accommodations from Cuyahoga County to two outstanding longtime contributors to our county's movement forward. With that being all said, thank you for putting up with the council for the time you've been. It's gray hair. It all came because of a lot of activity, but dealing with the bureaucracy is something that is a challenge. And these two gave us the calm that we need during some difficult times, but the end result is here before us today. So a little presentation from Councilman Martin J. Sweeney on behalf of the 1.2 Cuyahoga County residents. My council president Dale Miller and my other colleagues, it is an honor and privilege to stand up to this. An honor and privilege. Cuyahoga County and the executive council takes profound pride and great personal pleasure in recognizing Tim Hoffman for his service to Cuyahoga County. There's a whereas, there's a whereas, there's a whereas. This whereas is kind of funny, whereas he, all his work, First Energy Stadium, Huntington, Progressive Field, Quicken Loan, now Rocket, Huntington, and the Hilton Cleveland Hotel. That just means he's been around.
Yeah.
He was the original OG one.
Yeah, OG.
Sorry, 1997. He's been around forever. How's that one? Now there be it resolved that the executive in Cuyahoga County is hereby commend Tim Hoffman on his contributions to Cuyahoga County Convention Facilities Corporation. We wish him continued success in all his future endeavors. Now we clap. We get a camera. I'm gonna turn, so I'm gonna take a picture. I can pick up my tie.
Right this way, guys.
This way.
Yeah.
Do I have any skin on my sweater? My tie is messed up. I put a freaking suit on.
Got it.
Okay, now this is gonna be fun. Mr. Chairman Emeritus, it's a true pleasure and honor. Ditto on all the stuff I said in the very beginning. But this is my attempt at humor. Okay, so we'll see about this. Everybody remember this. It's a mystery.
Looks like they're under the boards.
I just dropped the dime and he's
going back in time. You and I go back in time. We're going back in time.
This is a risky one. So everybody, so some people in this room know Donna Brady or Donna Brady, right?
Well, which
It
one?
was always Donna Brady for many, many years. Then one day, it became Donna Brady. She lost an N. And I've been looking for this N for all these years. Then I found it. His middle name is Don with two N's.
Two wins.
Thank you for solving that mystery for me. Fair?
Good job.
I took a risk there. Okay, here we go. Cuyahoga County Council takes profound pride and great personal pleasure in recognizing Bradley Don Sellers. Whereas, but this is the one whereas that I like because Trevor put it in here.
Don't blame me here.
Whereas Chairman of the Board, Sellers, set a clear precedent that meetings would begin promptly 5 minutes late. At the top, on everyone's calendar.
That's right.
And his single greatest, most notable accomplishment was his consistency in bringing bagels and coffees to each and every county.
That's right.
Look at that spread that's out there. Make it worth your while. Therefore, be it resolved, the District 3 Council Member Martin J. Sweeney, on behalf of the entire council, hereby commends Mayor Bradley Sellers. Oh, you should put Don in there. And his contributions to Cuyahoga County and continued success in the future. I just want to say thank you. It was a pleasure being here. We're not done seeing each other. I got my magic pen. You have a lot of friends and still contributing. And my last little one for this one, I think we should put you on the Western Reserve Board of Aging. Now my little singer, you got to stay active. You're getting old. I should have kept that one in my pocket. Congratulations. Here you go. Now picture time. Yeah, my toes doesn't even hurt. And what I'd like to do, because I'm not the chairman, let's hear some words from you, and then I'll leave.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Councilman Sweeney. And I think as you mentioned, these are individuals that we're not done seeing them. I think when I think of Mayor Sellers and Tim Oftermet, I always think of visionaries. And Tim may be a numbers person, but he never loses sight of the big picture either. And I've always enjoyed working with them. Tim, I can't see anybody else. Tim Meyer now, and I can't see anybody else there. Do I move to the reports, or is there more comment? Jeff, are you trying to say something?
I think we have, the comments from Tim and Mayor Sellers.
Go ahead.
I will keep this very brief. Those of you that have known me for 40 years know that that's very difficult for me to do. It's been my honor and pleasure to serve this board and the project for a long time. The first convention center meeting that I attended was in 2002. Believe it or not, a convention facilities authority, different from this, was formed in 2004. We worked very hard to implement a countywide tax related to that ultimately was never used. It's still out there though, for 2% food and beverage tax countywide. It's still out there. Anyhow, this has really been a labor of love. I've worked on this project for a long time. The fact that we were able to get this done with sufficient funds left over to build a necessary hotel to help serve the community, and it does serve the community, is very important, and we're all better off for it. It's been my privilege to be a microscopic part of it. And Deb is going to do a great job on your board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Mayor?
I'll just try to be as brief as Tim, but I want to thank all the members of the board, county council, county executive for allowing me to serve in this position here. It has been truly rewarding. As I look down and see Deb Janik and also Tinker, I know they're going to fill in and do wonderful things here. It has been a pleasure of mine to be on this board, right? And so from the standpoint of the things we've gotten done, have really been transformative. And it's been nothing but people on this board have served have been honest brokers. And that's what I enjoyed about always being here. It was honest brokers trying to do the right thing by people, right? And what I also like about this has been the ability to make a difference. And we leave here, Tim and I leave here, transition off today, but there's still many things to go. I look out the window and look what's left next to me here, because that, I can be honest now, right? That's gotta happen, right? Because there's always gotta be a group that pushes the other group. Say, okay, we're going this way because it's in the best interest of everyone, no matter what, right? I don't care about the finances, whatever. You got to get down to the root of it, right? We're doing these things to empower this county, this city, to be the place that we all know and love it to be. And this group has to continue to be there. And I sit up here and I go back with Councilman Sweeney from our days in high school, hooping and everything else, right? if you love Cleveland, you love Cleveland, right? No matter where you live at, you're always gonna love this place, right? So you want to see it in the forefront. So it's been great opportunity to serve. I just challenge this group to continue to do the things it's been doing, making a difference here. Not afraid to make the tough decisions when it's time to be made, right? And I look around and I look at Alton and Deb, and I know that, and Deb and I've had many conversations about many things, right? And you have to do it, right? You have to do it. And as long as we continue to do that, it's gonna be fine. No matter how difficult the conversation, how many layers you have to work through, it has to be done. And that's what I've enjoyed about being on serving on this board, because they have not been afraid, right? And then even when you don't get it right, you get a chance to come back and revisit it, but you're not afraid. So I just challenge this group to continue to do that. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. We truly appreciate it. Tim, with that, I turn it over to you for the Executive Director report.
Thank you, Majid. I'd be remiss if I didn't say thanks to both of you gentlemen. In my short time here, they've been very instrumental in some of the things that I've been able to work on and learn quickly, and I'm committed to both of them. I still have their cell numbers and we'll be in touch, and I hope they get the calls. So thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
So going back to the presentation now, I wanted to provide the board just a brief update on the past 6 months, just some of the things that we've been working on and achieved. Obviously completed the onboarding expectations that were outlined, completed a full operational review of ASM and Levy and their results, specifically focused on revenue generation and cost savings, and they've reacted accordingly. I'll talk more about the sales part of it in a bit. Improved financial reporting, which has made very clear transparency in all the financials. We've implemented a full cash review process with the executive committee and revisited how we're managing capital projects so that we're addressing the real priorities of the building now. And then the CCCFDC office, we contracted a new IT company who is going to start giving us more control of our systems, which were not completely in our control. And so I feel much better about that. We'll be working on some new ideas on communication. I'll continue to outreach, and I've started some conversations with the city, talking about the auditorium, and I've presented some ideas on how we can start working together in a more easier manner to kind of help improve results overall for the area. Next slide is 2025 projects. These are some of the things I've identified early in the process that I just want to provide updates again. Planning a board retreat. I think the biggest obstacle is getting it on everyone's calendar. We've identified a date of October 24th. That's the third quarter board meeting. And what we will then do is have a probably 1 hour board meeting, get through the business of the board, and then go into the retreat for half a day. And that way we found that to be the best option to get everything managed. By the end of July, I'll have an agenda and more information on that. I can start preparing for that. Board communication, we're going to roll out Slack is what we've ended up with. We're just working with the IT company now so we can improve that communication, make it a little bit easier for board members to follow up on everything. We're going to update the CCCFDC website and moving forward in this meeting on how this is recorded and presented also. So we're working with upgrading this room a bit. So Julie will be reaching out for updated headshots so that we can get everyone's pictures on the board website. Start with new board members joining us. Julie's going to reach out to Alton and Deb to schedule an orientation. So 3 of us can meet and talk and get you fully updated on everything about the board and where we are in separate projects. I've been very active in competing cities. I've visited 3 cities so far: Columbus, Indianapolis, Indiana, and St. Louis, to look at their facilities, see how they're operated and understand it. So we can kind of start benchmarking some of the things that we need to do as a city and a facility to be ahead of the competition. Our goal, as Mayor mentioned, is really being the facility of the future. And that's really where we need to focus our efforts and spend wisely. And then a part of that is obviously completing a 5-year plan for CCCFDC Convention Center to understand where we need to go and focus our objectives based on that 5-year plan, which we will talk about and finalize between now and the board retreat. And I'm sure that'll be a big part of the agenda. Okay. Next slide, Julie. These are the goals that I developed. We're going to continue to work through this, as you can see up there, the opera CCCFDC operations. Efficient communication, transparent reporting, and development of committees. We've had discussions about creating a compensation or HR committee. We're working through that process. And I think that will help us manage long-term, the office objectives. Business development, I talked about ASM and Levy a minute ago. I challenged them to come up with a new way to coordinate their sales efforts. I think one of the things I found was a little bit clunky, to use a bad word, that it wasn't as efficient as I thought it should be. And so with the help of John and Chris, John Page is the area VP for ASM. They've worked together and are starting to, first week of May, they'll be here with the VP of sales and starting to look at how they can integrate processes to make it more efficient to sell, quicker selling process and attract more business. Okay, and again, the main goal there is to fill vacant dates. We all understand that part of it. There's a relationship with Destination Cleveland that they really go after a lot of the larger events. I challenge these two teams to find ways to fill ballroom. When it's empty, we're all losing money, right? And there's opportunities that really provide opportunities for the entire city when this building is occupied. So working on those efforts and really targeting some specific groups. Operational results, goals were really to look at expense management. Happy to say that through a lot of efforts, they have presented their most up-to-date budget, which they've reduced their expenses to the tune of about $500,000 for this year. And we'll continue to go down that road to look at how we can better manage our expenses. Events performance is paramount, obviously, and then overall positioning of the facility from a social media standpoint and marketing. All activations is something that we really have to spend some time talking about and working with DCA and the city to see if there's other opportunities for us to improve that process. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. I want to talk about a lot of the projects that have been going on here. One of the things that was evident early on is we had some projects that had been outstanding. So this chart talks about pre-2025. These are all capital projects that were ongoing when I arrived that were before the 2025 year budget. As an example, the Bollard project, the top there, has been ongoing for almost 4 years. If you haven't noticed, it's almost to completion. Should be completely done by the end of next month, somewhere in that time frame, depending on weather. We've got the funds assigned for that and it's ready to go. So it's good to see that ending. Second thing on the list there is the St. Clair digital sign. That was part of the naming rights process. We're working with the Huntington team. We identified some weaknesses in the sign as it was developed, so they're going back to figure out how we can better position that. But we've got the funds available when that project is ready to go. Rest of the projects are completed or waiting to be paid. A couple at the bottom are in process. The bird film is actually going up. They're about 65–70% done. So again, we expect that to be completely done by the end of next month. And again, capital funds there have already been allotted for, and we will pay that final bill once it's completed. Okay. When those are all done, we can then rightly say that everything pre-2025 is complete. Move on. We can then focus on current and future projects, which is what I talked about in a 5-year planning, not only for positioning, but capital and where we really need to plan budgets and presenting to the county of 18 to 24 month budget plan to identify exactly where our weaknesses are and what we need to be prepared for. This slide presents the 2025 capital projects. As you can see, and it's a little bit confusing, but the LED lighting conversion, remaining funds are $500,000. That project for the 2025 budget was allotted $1.5 million. I only have $500,000 assigned to that for the rest of this year, because as you can see, the next line below that, I moved $1 million down to the building assessment repairs because we did the 3-year assessment at the end of last year. And we've got a number of projects that we got to figure out the cost before we do light. And so I'm holding those funds right now to better manage the capital budget to make sure that we've got funds to do the building issues that have got to get done. As an example, right underneath that, you can see the loading dock access. That's that drive up behind the garage into the loading dock, up along the railroad tracks. We've identified some challenges there. They're not structural, but it's going to take some funds to get it repaired. So we have had Osborne already look at it. We're waiting for the final programming of what needs to be done to figure out what it's going to cost. It's expected to be less than $100,000, but I'm holding 100 in my mind right now so that we've got funds available for that. The other smaller projects, I do want to note the second to the bottom, the farm. This past year, last summer, we had some problems with the farm, as I understand it, with minks and other things that were really attacking our animals. So we decided to take a little bit of a step back with the farm. It's not going away, but we're not gonna bring pigs in this year. So we're gonna take a little bit different approach, focus on the honeybees, have some goats in there and spend some funds to kind of clean it up. It's gotten to look really rough. It looks like a farm, and I've identified it as it should be like a boutique farm. It looks good, everybody feels good about it, and we get results. So Levy and Jude's team is really focused on that, but I've allotted some funds to that so we can kind of clean that up this year. And then all goes well, by next year, we can kind of go forward and decide what other animals we want to bring into it. But it'll be a better presentation for the facility the way you're doing it this year, okay? Next slide, Julie. I talked about the building assessment report, and Alton and Deb, I'll share this with you when we do orientation, so you'll see the details of it. Osborne came in and did a full assessment. This is probably the one big issue that I'm working on, because this is building repairs. Stairwell, east wall, we actually have the roofs in, I think this week, they're doing some work there to try and mitigate that part of it. Tracking the water mitigation is the challenge. The exhibit hall area, we've got some ceiling leaks there. They've been identified as part of the tree pits for the most part. And so we have, Ellis has worked with Turner to come out and look at it with their original contractors. So we're figuring out what's the magnitude of the problem and how many tree pits we need to be really focused on to determine what's the next step. Okay. The other part of it that they've identified, and Jeff, I traded emails with Bonnie and I owe her a response on this. I should give more information today. The sidewalk cracks and the ceiling and stuff like that have been identified also as part of the challenge. And then not on this, one of the areas that we saw a water problem, the flame that is in the middle of the mall that was put there for the senior games. It started to settle to a point that it's holding water when it rains and snow melts. So we've got to determine what to do with that. And again, I'll work with Bonnie in the city to figure out we either want to relocate it or shore it up one way or the other, which is not there yet.
We'd just like to be part of that conversation.
Absolutely. We just identified it, who owns it. So David Gilbert was a key part of it, and putting that in. So we obviously will have further conversations once we get to that point, but really identifying what these issues are, what they're going to cost to get them repaired. One of the most challenging parts of it is the loading dock column assessment. You know, those of you that were on the board for a while may remember about a year ago, there's some sections that had fallen in. What we learned is that we want to do a full assessment of those columns all the way through the building. They support Lakeside to understand exactly if there's more risk there. So we're working with Osborne again there. They didn't think there was a problem, but we just want to make sure that there's nothing out there. Okay. So I'll continue to work through that. And again, we're going to continue to fund this through the capital projects as we have it outlined. Okay. Outstanding renovation. Different set of projects, just to clarify, this building is a renovation project that we're talking about. These items were approved as part of the final stages of this building. So these have been complete. Mike and his team and Ellis have worked through this. Some of these are less complicated, some additional power in areas, ballroom shades, they've all been installed, bollard covers. Some of these are just basic operational things that were part of the renovation project as we're finishing it up. Those have all been completed. I put it on there because we talked about it last board meeting. I just wanted to make sure everyone was updated. The Dynac on the ballroom doors is the last thing we're waiting for from Turner. There's a handful of things still out there with Turner that Ellis has been very actively on top of. So thanks for that. The next part of it, though, these are the outstanding projects that were identified that were not necessarily funded as part of this building. I share this because we got to really start figuring, so we're prioritizing what we want to do next in this building, what needs to get done first for a lot of different reasons. And you can see the total price tag on this is $206,000. We've got about $60,000 left out of the project, Ellis. So it really is going to be a challenge to figure out what we do with it.
Jeff Applebaum has told me that there's more coming at some point. I don't want to share a number or anything at this stage, but if we get more from the bonds, it will help us fund this to complete these projects. Top priority for me really becomes, two things at the bottom of the list, the coffee machine. The ballroom was built without a coffee maker back there, so the team is moving coffee from the other side of the building. So we're looking at getting that added as a first priority. It's just the most efficient way to operate without making it difficult on the staff, for our guests. And then the second thing, just from an appearance standpoint, in the middle of that list is the planters on St. Clair. It's projected as $30,000. Mike is putting together a bid to look at that, but right now there's nothing there. And this is really the month where we should be doing something. There was placement for those at some point, but again, we need to be aware of the overall appearance and what we can do to dress up that St. Clair corridor right there at the entrance of the building. Okay, but again, all out there right now, just talking about.
Tim, what are tent supports?
Let's talk tent supports, $5,000. This was a big challenge, and I think I presented it as the last board meeting. The tent supports up on the terrace were not stable, in my opinion. They had moved. I shared some pictures of it. We went down this road. We had a proposal, I think it was $50,000-$60,000 to basically come up with a structure to do that. Mike worked with the local vendors and the vendors who put the tent up, came up with a better solution. $5,000 steel plates that go around the tent legs. And we already have planters that we'll put on there. So it gives us an appearance that we want and it solidifies it. And it's like
So that seems like an important project. I mean, just given the high winds we've had.
we're moving that along. That was gonna happen no matter what. I look at that as almost done already. We're actually waiting for delivery of those steel plates now. They should be in. We have an event, I think, May 10th or 15th. So that'll be in and done by May 15th. The planter boxes are up there and we just have to put landscaping in the boxes.
Tim, when's the top of the tent going up?
May 10th.
And then can you talk a little bit about the lighting, that the tent lighting for 37,000, what that is?
Sure, that was.
Because I think that might be important depending on what.
Well, Mike, I'll let you talk about it since it's your project.
Yeah, so it's LED lighting on the underside of the tent, right? So right now the lighting sits above the tent on the facade, shines down, but there's no lighting from within the tent. So that addresses the need for additional lighting within the tent.
And it can change different colors and stuff.
Color changing LED, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that should be a higher priority. I mean, for all the events that we're hoping to have out there.
Right.
We're able to change the lighting for what the clients want. I know all those things could be an important thing, but that might help us on the revenue side too, maybe to attract additional events if we're able to change the lighting out there.
It 100% is a competitive advantage because clients now can use our lighting, build in and not have to pay extra to have that put in. So
My plan is to get all of that done on that list. We're just working through the funding. Okay. Any other questions? Good. Next part goes into the Bird Film and Superman. Jeff Applebaum, are you on the call?
I am, and I apologize for not being able to be down there in person, particularly to congratulate Tim and Brad, but I'll find both of you guys later. And the only other comment, by the way, on that last list, we don't have the final value coming back yet. We'll have it shortly, but it'll be well more than enough to take care of everything on that list and quite a bit more after that into our capital account. On the Bird Film, I think you've already heard that that project is well over half complete. It will be completed in the next few weeks. Everybody who's gone down and looked at it has really approved of the look and the feel, including representatives from county council. So I think we're very happy with how that is being done with the budget. And presumably the birds are also happy with it. In terms of Superman, we've been continuing. We've done everything on our side to move that project forward. The remaining challenges are completely with Siegel and Schuster. They have to complete their fundraising. They say they're making progress, but they still have a bit more to go. There are a couple issues that we have to work out with DC Comics. I have a call scheduled actually with their general counsel to deal with the intellectual property issues. There is still one remaining issue Siegel and Schuster is working out. On the intellectual property side, it has to do with the family of the woman who is the model for Lois Lane, and they're working out the understanding as to how that will work and what information will be contained in the signage. The decision, we have to get final approval from the Monuments Commission. Everything is ready to go, but the decision is that they will have a special session once we have the donation and maintenance agreement in place. But right now, it appears that the target date to get this all done is probably going to be in July of this year, as Siegel and Schuster still has work to do. And we, of course, are not going to move forward with this project until they have crossed every T and dotted every I. So that's where we stand.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah,
And
thanks for,
actually,
on this. I mean, I feel as the convention board given quite a bit to the organization, trying to help them out to get to their goal. So appreciate all that work you've done on this, Jeff.
Thank you.
Jeff, is that July for installation or July for completing kind of all the process to start?
Well, let me say this. We just got a communication from them a couple days ago because they were talking about trying to get this done prior to there's an event, the Superman film is going to have an event in Cleveland. I think that's July 12th. They were trying to get this done in time for that. They have a recognition that they won't make that date to have everything done. So now they're telling us that their target is to get it done by the end of July. But once again, we'll just have to, we're going to have to continue to update you on this because this is the ball's completely in their court, and we'll simply update you. We have done everything we can do, and we're just really waiting for them at this point.
Thanks, Jeff.
Mhm.
Majid, is anything you wanted to add?
no, just thanking Jeff for all of that. And I just wanted to recognize Mike when we got to the ASM update. But if you want to get us there, and then I'll just say.
No problem. We're gonna move to that now, and for those of you who do not know or not heard, we have gone through a little bit of a change here in the building. The turnover to ASM, recognizing Mike Campo as a new general manager of the facility for ASM. Mike's been an absolute pleasure to work with during my short time here. He's proven to be the guy that's on top of all projects. He managed the renovation personally and is still very, very involved. So he's just started his transition process, working with his team. He knows we have high expectations, and I have no doubt that he will get there. So, Mike, welcome. Majid, do you want to take any comments?
Just wanted to say, Mike, welcome. Congratulations on the new position. I think to most of us on the board, Mike is a very recognizable face. We know him very well. We like him a lot. And I would reiterate what Tim said in the sense of our expectations are very high for you, Mike. So we're looking forward to it, and we welcome you on board. And I don't think I'll be seeing you at Westlake City Council meetings anymore, but I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you at these meetings.
Yeah.
And turn it over to Mike.
Great. Thank you, Majid, Tim. Thank you. First off, just wanted to say, Mayor, Tim, thank you on behalf of the convention center. Your leadership has been huge. You guys have been pillars on this board, have really moved the needle, and you've been a tremendous part of our success.
Thanks.
So you'll be greatly missed. Wish you the best of luck. Both leaving behind big shoes to fill. Mayor, yours a little bit bigger, clearly. Sincerely, thank you very much. The GM position, I couldn't be more thrilled. I've been here since 2014. I've kind of seen the renaissance of Cleveland in our industry. So I'm so proud of how far we've come, and just so excited to be able to take this team and lead our talented team to where we're going. So thank you. Okay, first slide. Year-to-date finance summary. We've hosted 30 events, 160,000 visits. 160,000 people through the door, 4 million in gross revenue. Our net operating income was 1.5. If you back out our indirect expenses of 3 million, we're left with a 1.49 deficit. It's important to keep in mind is favorable to budget of $234,000. So we're coming out of the gate strong. We had a really good first quarter. Led by volleyball, some things I'll touch on in a little bit. But while we've come out of the gate strong, Julie, if you don't mind on the next slide, we do have some uncertainties looking ahead. We're entering into some potential headwinds related to the impact of government restrictions. I want to focus your attention on the last event there, the Veterans Small Business Engagement. They've notified us that they're canceling. It's about it, not about it. It's an impact to our budget of $400,000 net income. So that's a big one. The second one up top there, Computer Science Teacher Association. They've notified us that they're having challenges with attendance, but they're coming. The event's going forth as planned, but they're going to be at about half strength. All the other events on there are sales teams in constant communication, as well as with the Bureau, and we feel really good about them. So we've been not notified of any changes to the other events.
Mike, what's the projected expenses related to the two that is being reduced and canceled? What's our true impact, right? Versus the budgeted revenue versus our expenses, or is that the number?
That's the
No,
net.
no,
That
net
is the
there.
net.
Okay,
That's
sorry,
the
I missed
impact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So
That's huge.
that affects our bottom line. And then next slide.
Mike, looking forward, are there any other government conventions that we're worried about over the rest of the years?
Not at this point in time. Yeah, the other ones on this list, we feel good about. There's been no indication, Jeff, so.
Mike, better get out that business for foreseeable future.
What's that?
The government business better get out of it.
Right,
for
right.
Foreseeable future.
Right. It has not been a huge part of our market, right? In our event mix, but it's impactful. Okay, so in response to this uncertainties, we've developed a comprehensive mitigation plan. We're aggressively looking at driving revenue and cutting expenses. Trick is to do that without sacrificing our product, which is customer service and the user experience. So we've got a plan together. We're going to be tracking this plan monthly. That's part of our monthly forecast. Right now, as of the end of March, we're forecasting a $40,000 favorable variance to budget. So the key takeaway is we're coming out of the gate strong first quarter. Next 3 quarters look a little, we got some headwinds, but we're managing to the bottom line and we're looking to beat it by 40,000. Next slide. As a convention center, we talk a lot about economic impact. First quarter, 30 events that I mentioned before, driving 24 million in economic impact. The top 5 drivers, volleyball. We were like the volleyball capital of the country for almost a month. Big business for us. Big part of our first quarter event mix. The other event there, US fencing, drew people from all over the world. Great event for us. These 5 events here drove 18 million of that 25 million I just mentioned. Next slide. Okay, so that's kind of to date. Moving forward, our top 10 upcoming events. Few I want to highlight. First one coming up in a month, AP reading. So this is advanced placement. All the test graders, they're going to be in our building for 6 weeks. 2 weeks. So big event for us. A ton of food and beverage. Our sales team was able to sign this for 4 years. You can see here the estimated total room nights, 16,000. So just a hugely impactful event. Next, Urban League coming in July. Almost 3,000 room nights. They are using 6 hotels, so they're spread out throughout the downtown core. Next, the National Association of Black Journalists, another big one, 4,000 room nights. Another great event for us. BFG actually coming up in September. This is all the garden growers business to business event. That one there is actually utilizing 10 hotels throughout the city, so they're really spread out. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Travis to talk about our sales production.
Thanks, Mike. Sales team had a nice first quarter. We contracted 46 total events. Of those, 30 were contracted in the first quarter, arriving in 2025. So again, really focusing, like Tim and Mike said, on mitigation, going after in the year for the year business. And then 16 of those events were contracted outside of 25. The one thing you can see from the lead source is in the year for the year, it's a lot of stuff coming to the sales team directly. When we get outside of longer term, Destination Cleveland becomes more involved, which is where you can see the proportional hotel room night increase, as that's where your citywides tend to book is further outside of a year. Next slide, Julie. One of the big things, again, it's much easier to rebook somebody than find a new piece of business. So we always keep our eye on, how our event organizers, our planners are doing. We had 7 responses from the 30 groups that were here so far. Of those, 86% overall experience. It's 4% below the average of our comp set, which is all the convention centers who participate in this survey across ASM. Still really happy with that number, but again, room for improvement. The one I really like, 100% overall quality of the building. Can't do much better than 100%, 12% ahead of our competitive set. Overall condition 83, 3% less than again the other convention centers in the survey results. So a little room for improvement, but still a great score. Considering also it was dance and volleyball and cheer groups that were in, which is always our toughest critics sometimes. And the last slide is one we introduced last board meeting, where it's a comparison of year-over-year pace between ourselves, Destination Cleveland for the city, and the Hilton, kind of showing we're all in alignment. When we all do well, we all do well. When we have a rough time, we have a rough time. 28. We've done a phenomenal job again, as you can see with the spike layering in business further out. We got some work to do in 26, but stuff like this helps us know where the work needs to be done. So, all right. Any questions? Anything? Okay. That's it for sales.
Thank you. We're gonna move over to food and beverage now and leaving. Turn it over to you. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Thank you, board. Appreciate it as well. Want to report out our official financial year-to-date numbers. So if you look at our first slide there on the top, 2.62 million gross revenue. So we're 515,000 better budget. It's a nice number to see. How does that break down? So I wanted to put a little bit of numbers behind how these break down. So banquets and catering, that's anything that would be a buffet event or a plated event. We're sitting at 1.17 and we're budgeted for $832,965. So we're having very positive of $337,000 and some change. It's very nice to see. As we look at our show concessions, this would be any of the market stands that are on the expo floor or any of the food halls that we set up when we have volleyball, when we have fencing. When we do these, it's a lot of risk on us because are they coming? Are they not coming? We have to keep production levels. We have to look at everything in order to be able to hit on all sides when we do our show concessions. I'm happy to report back on the budget of $942,300. We're sitting at $1,760,000. So we have a positive variance of $133,000 for show concessions. In order for that to happen, you have to hit on all your activations. So we feel very strongly about that. Starbucks. Starbucks, we had a budget of $287,000. We came in at $247,098 for the first quarter. So we're down a bit in Starbucks, $39,902. One thing to keep in mind on that, we've had some cool weather in the first quarter. That usually tends to drive Starbucks down a bit. Also, when we do our show activations, we activate a Starbucks refresher station. That can be good for $5,000 to $7,000 per show, which is not included in that Starbucks, but it helps keep the lines down, keeps the customer experience high, and make sure that the show attendees are getting the drinks that they want. And then Bagel Boulevard, let's talk about that for a second. An unknown, we come into it, we budgeted $45,000 for the first quarter, and we're sitting at $129,167. So we're at a positive variance of $84,000. The downtown business, it's nice to see that the concept that we put forth and we researched together is working. We're seeing it that it provides a need for our community Monday through Friday that are looking for breakfast and lunch options, provides for an opportunity for people to come over from the hotels, get a bagel sandwich, get bagels, but it also scales up very nicely when we do have these RNC shows in house where we can go from a day where we're doing 2,000 to 8,000 and the team can handle it without a ton of additional increased labor. So we feel like the model is really hitting well for the business. And then that last, it's hard to see up there, but in atrium events, booking and catering for the first quarter, we did 208,000 in catering in the atrium side.
Jude, where does that Starbucks refresher show up at then? In show concessions?
It does.
Okay.
It shows up in show concessions because Starbucks does not have the ability to have a mobile unit, so we have to bring it up show concessions.
Got it. Okay.
Good question. Thank you.
Jude, was it a particular event that caused the banquets and catering to be that far off from variance? I mean, that's what, 40% or so for the better, but what, was it one event that it was just more than we thought they were gonna do for catering, or what, that's a pretty big difference.
It's a big difference, and what we saw is like, we've been adding to each and every show possible premium with our inside sales team, really drawing in and making sure that we're maximizing each and every event. Fencing had a lot of premium involved, it was nice, put premium for us, and also talking to Tammy for the help, we saw it was a great week in the city. We don't see as much of the premium business from the RNC shows or concession shows, so that's a nice uptick. Any other questions? Next slide, please. So we're talking about in public auditorium earlier, Cleveland Charge in 2025-2024 season was played at Cleveland Public Auditorium. The first games were played at Rocket Mortgage until the construction was done. In 2025, we did 13 home games for the Charge. It's an experience. Just to kind of give everybody an overview of how it works over there. When we got into it, it wasn't budgeted. We didn't know it was coming, and we just sprung on us. Fortunately, we have the majority of the NBA arenas, so we have some resources that we can tap into. We also tapped into some college basketball resources to finally get a footprint and how it all works. Then you get over to Cleveland Public Auditorium. It's a different setup. It's G League basketball, so it's a bit different. So we really worked hard to figure it out. For 13 home games, we've had a total premium of $230,185. What does premium look like at a Charge game? So they have this courtside club, right? So the courtside club is anywhere from 350 to 400 attendees. They do very well with their courtside club. We put together a premium buffet offering that starts at doors at 6 p.m. and then goes until 8 minutes before halftime. Then we flip it into like a dessert activation. So that's the premium portion that you see, as well as they also have an all you can eat. So you can get hot dog, you can get soda, you can get popcorn, you can get nachos. That's a piece of their floor activation. So as you see, banquets, catering, courtside club, all you can eat, and then occasionally they would do a pregame reception.
Right.
Pregame receptions were to draw new season ticket holders. So we experienced maybe 5 or 6 of those throughout the season. Worked out well. Game concessions. So that's the upper bowl. In my time here with Cleveland Public Auditorium, we didn't activate those concession stands. They're basically just neat little plain boxes that we were able to activate and put together. So, for the 13 games, we ended up doing $103,368 in concessions. We got better at it each and every game. When we first started, labor was hard, it moves fast. People have not done this before. You start to see the inefficiencies, you get those efficiencies together, you start to see your product offering, you dial those in, we're able to make some significant improvements throughout the entire season. And then alcohol revenue, in the upper bowl, we had a bar set up, and we also had in the courtside club, there's a non-inclusive for liquor. So beer and wine is included in their prices, but they have to pay extra for liquor. So we did $59,597 in alcohol revenue, and that's in the upper bowl and in the courtside club. So gross revenue of $393,150. It was not boring. The Charge is exciting. They always have something going on. So, being in this business, we want to be impactful. We want to do things that move the needle. And it's an experience. If you've not attended Charge game in Cleveland Public Auditorium, I'd recommend it.
You're locked in for next year, correct?
We are not locked in for next year. We signed one extension for 2025, and we have one more extension to sign. The Charger locked in.
Yeah, right.
Charger locked in. Right.
They've got the largest attendance figures in the G League. Yeah,
It's a great experience.
It is for people. It's the value, right?
It's a phenomenal value.
You might not. You go to Rocket Arena, has a cost. For folks that can't attain that, it's easier to come here and see new fledgling talent that you saw in college here, right? And so I think when Bronny James was here, they had 2 consecutive sellouts, right? So you're going to see those. It's money to be made there, right? They figured it out that there's money to be made there.
The experience is way better than it was at CSU.
Yes.
Jude or Jeff, I forget, where does this money go? Does it go to the Cavs? Does it go to the city? Does it come to us?
It filters back through the convention center. So Cleveland Public Auditorium is run as an extension of the convention center.
Okay.
It's a great way to expose the auditorium and getting people to the building, which, we've talked off and on about really getting that building very activated.
What are your parking numbers looking like? Shoot.
I don't know.
What are our parking? What are your parking numbers? Cause they got parked somewhere
Yeah,
here, right?
I don't have that number.
Cause when I saw the
It
numbers,
helps.
when I saw the
Yeah,
numbers
yeah,
of the people that were
sure.
going down there,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wow.
Mhm.
It's a real number in here. You just gotta be able to extract your goods out of it.
It is a real number and being smart about how you extract the goods. That's what we got better at each and every year. Any other questions on the charge? And you just wanted to wrap it remiss, so I didn't say thank you, Mayor.
So you,
Okay, Tim, I appreciate it. You made me feel very welcome.
Had a good run.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's all about making change and not doing boring things. I like to move the needle. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jude,
Jude,
are you seeing anything in terms of increase in pricing and costs on food and supplies? We are, all across the board. Yeah, and we have to keep a very order of magnitude of what you're seeing month over month or how you're managing. It's so that's getting passed on. I hate to try to put a number on it, but you see different things change every day. You know, our executive chef Michael Laura is very good at keeping an eye on anything pricing, but you know, just even like the price of eggs, right, you know, and liquid eggs. We do a lot of breakfast here, so we have to be smart about it. Within Levy, we're fortunate to have a company called Food Buy, and we can source product and get locked in deals on these. We get preferred pricing on it.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's excellent cheap. And you gotta have them. Any other questions?
Good job. Thank you,
Thank
Jude.
you for your time.
Appreciate it. Julie,
Hilton.
Hilton update?
Jen. Present.
So first we'll start with some national market trends. So year to date, national RevPAR grew about 2% year over year. And so this exceeded 2019 levels by about 16%. RevPAR increase was driven predominantly through rate, through ADR. So occupancy stayed flat year over year, while ADR did increase about $3, which really drove that RevPAR increase. In segmenting between different location types, it was urban and small metro towns. They experienced the highest RevPAR growth year over year. Interestingly, resort locations, they were the only location type to see negative RevPAR growth compared to last year, and that was driven by a decline in occupancy. So as other destinations continue to open up, leisure travel with rising costs, all that tended to impact resort locations more so than other destinations like urban. So looking forward, the only certainty is that uncertainty pretty much lies ahead. Impacts of changing policy set by the current administration, you have started to see the impacts of that on travel. So we have seen some slowing down in future booking pace, as well as decreased demand from international visitation and overall a pullback in spending, just as companies and and leisure travelers start to get some level of consistency moving forward. So that we've seen across really throughout the whole nation. So updated Q1 forecast, because of all of those changes now project minimal RevPAR growth for the year. And then these forecasters have indicated that these forecasts do not reflect any recession, and that would further impact these numbers. Shifting to Cleveland, RevPAR increased by about 2.5%, and this is in line with the overall US, but below the regional averages. So ADR declined by 1% year over year, but occupancy was up by about just over 3%. So transient and group demand increased year over year. And group demand actually had the highest year-over-year growth when compared to other regions, with the exception of Milwaukee, which did host the NCAA tournament this year. So Cleveland also hosted the NCAA tournament in March, and next quarter we'll start to see the impact of the NCAA Women's Final Four, which was held in April, as well as the solar eclipse. So that might impact some year-over-year changes for next quarter. So next, coming off a record group year, in terms of number of citywides, the Cleveland downtown comp set achieved RevPAR growth of nearly 7%. So this is above Cleveland as a whole, and trends are also similar, whereas this RevPAR growth was really driven through occupancy. So occupancy grew across all different segments, increasing by an average of 11% year over year, whereas ADR did decline. So that decline of ADR was really driven through group, but it should be noticed that group ADR was really high last year. And so even though group ADR did decline year over year, when comparing to 2023 levels was still pretty above by about $20. Next slide. So lastly, we'll just end with a brief discussion on local market trends. So January 2025, passenger count was up 1% and exceeded the same time 2019. So this is good news, continued positive growth at the airport, even after its busiest year last year since 2008. So from a group perspective, 2025 key events are anchored by NCAA men's basketball, which took place in March, and upcoming events, which was previously discussed, such as AP Reading in June, National Association of Black Journalists in August, and Rubber Division in September. We're also seeing an increase in future lead activity, which is great to see, supporting the new renovation and expansion of the convention center, plus the ongoing improvements at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we are seeing an increase also, we're seeing short booking windows also shorten as well. And finally, in regards to hotel supply, there are several hotel renovations underway and in the planning phase. The Fidelity Hotel opened in January 2025, and there are others being contemplated. Of course, it would be remiss to talk about new supply without talking about tariffs and their potential impact. So with rising construction costs and a lot of unknowns, some projects are proceeding with caution and have the potential to be delayed, even also renovations. So future supply growth will likely continue to be muted until there is more clarity. And that is all from me. Are there any questions?
I have a general question that maybe for you and or the team. I know we've seen media reports that the Rock Hall attendance is down, particularly foreign visitors, Canadians coming over. I'm curious whether we're seeing that at all in the hotel numbers, whether that's something to be worried about or whether the kind of the convention activity is managing to kind of mask it. And I think it also goes, Mike, to your, the one convention where you said they were way down in attendance. I mean, it's something to watch. I'm curious whether we're going to start getting fewer folks coming from Canada or other countries to Cleveland.
I can speak a little bit in terms of what we're seeing. And I'm not ready to speak to the demographics or geographics that are coming into Cleveland just yet. What we are seeing though is transient seems to be keeping pace, which is good. There's still demand. Where they're coming from, we can come back to you on that to give you a little bit more insight on that. So we're still seeing the compression with all the events that are being generated, which is a good thing. But it's, there is a lot of concerns with the Canadians, and we're all seeing that potentially with some of our games that are going to be coming in, sporting events and all of that. We are not planning to see the same compression. We're not forecasting to see that, but I don't have anything tangible at this point in time. We're living the same thing as what was presented with Travis and Mike with regards to some of the government groups. And, kicking out of the gate, Q1 was nice for everyone. Q2 has a bit more concerns ahead of us. We're not out of the woods.
Yeah, it should be useful to kind of continue to get data on that as it's coming in. I know we're watching at the city, what are impacts on tax revenue is going to be if we see a dip in tourism revenue, admission tax, all that stuff. So
some of the Rock Hall's biggest attendance days are when the Blue Jays are here. And we're very interested in seeing what happens with regard to that this year.
And Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, Trevor, but David Gilbert just spoke to our county council with an update about, the bed tax and kind of the impacts. And he did indicate that some of the Canadian travel is down, international travel is down across the country, but felt that Cleveland wouldn't be hit as badly as some of the other cities because that's not the group that, our primary attraction. So same thing, they're watching it. But what I'm sure we can all do, but definitely there is a notable impact.
Yeah, I'll say this. I've been in Canada for the last few days, and this is all anecdotal evidence. It doesn't mean anything, obviously, and they have an election coming up in Monday. But I've never seen more Canadian flags in Toronto that I've seen this time. And the hats that say, Canada's not for sale all over the place. It's kind of an interesting scene to watch, actually. I've never expected to see that in Canada, but it is, you're feeling it. Sitting in in restaurants and all the people around you are like German tourists. So somehow I didn't think that the impact would be that quickly that people would be changing travel from the US to Canada, but it seems to be happening. Again, all of this is anecdotal. It doesn't mean anything, but it's very interesting watching it.
For those who don't know, my entire family, and I'm Canadian born. So definitely the sentiment is there. You're seeing it on all social feeds. And then there's also the fear. I think, you know, for those who want to come, they'll come. You know, my son and my mother-in-law were in town during Easter. But there's also the fear of being held back at the border. And I think that's one of the key areas. Like I've heard it when I'm inviting people to say, hey, come and visit. They're like, well, what's going to happen to me at the border? So again, because of all the stories that they hear. So, and on the flip side, we also had, you know, last month, my team and I had our retreat. We had a facilitator come in, and I've been working with this girl who she is Canadian. And what she's doing a lot now with the destinations in Canada is their fear is how Americans are going to be treated when visiting Canada. So I think there is a little bit of it on both sides, which is interesting that she's working with the destination on the messaging to their locals and how to take care of our American friends that it's, you know. So it's very interesting to see, but you're absolutely right. There's a lot of concerns with the Canadians, and we should be seeing it. There are great reports that can give us an insight into the future, you know, a couple of reports that we can probably pull at the destination, which would show where the bookings are. It shows us where the bookings are coming from and the year-over-year decline. So it's something that we could easily pull as a destination. Yeah.
Gee, I think that's it for the presentations.
You're on mute, Majid.
Do we have any old business?
No, but.
Seeing no old business, we'll go to new business, which is our next meeting is July 25th at 8:45 a.m. With that, any other comments before we conclude the meeting? I want to thank you all. I want to welcome the new board members to the board. I look forward to working with you in the years ahead and getting to interact with you in person. And again, our gratitude and debt to Mayor Sellers and Tim Oftermatt. We truly appreciate all your service. I think words fail to describe the amount of service that you guys have given to this organization, to the community. And we look forward to continued cooperation with you in the future. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.